continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting.
Jamaica's poverty rate has dropped from 16.7% to 8.2%. As the government's economic program begins to pay off, our country is heading towards sustained growth. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
6 minutes after 9.
You're inside the Consumer Hour with Nora Gay Banton.
Good morning to you. It is Monday, November 17, 2025. We are alive and well, and for that we give God thanks. Good morning to you if you're listening on the 90 FM band, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, or 90.9. Thank you so much for joining us on your radio. We appreciate your company there. If you are listening and watching on our YouTube channel, good morning to you. The channel is Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. That's Nationwide 90 FM LIVE with the number 2 beside that. So go on over there and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I want to say good morning to those in the YouTube chat. I'm seeing Hugh Donaldson. Good morning to you, Hugh Donaldson. Errol Townsend, top of the morning to you. Marlene Russell, good morning to you. Rupert Wilson, top of the morning to you as well. Ines Campbell Murray, SH, Rick Jam NYC, good morning to you. Sharon Bryan, hello. Albert Morgan, good morning. Monique Hunter, Chris P, good morning to you. Ryder 40, good morning to you as well. Katie Buello, and all the others over there in the YouTube chat. Big up on yourself every time. If you're listening from our mobile app, available for free on the Google Play and the App Store, that's Revo News. Good morning to you. And those on our website, whether you're listening or watching, good morning to you. It's revonews.ai. Go on over there and utilize the all the features available on our YouTube channel. All right. This morning, it is Monday morning. But just before I go into Immigration Mondays, I want to remind our listeners and viewers that nationwide we here are organizing our own relief efforts for our Jamaicans in the West. And we are still accepting donations. So if you, Kevin, if you could put up the flyer there so that our YouTubers can see. We are still accepting donations, non-perishable items, food supplies and all of that. And of course, if you have tarpaulins, if you have clothes, if you have portable battery pack, solar lights, all of those things, and are here additional needs being presented, such as water boots and gloves. The Ministry of Health saying that if you can provide those things as well, especially for those who are in areas where it's very muddy or still flooded at this time, because as we would have heard from the ministry, 11 cases, suspected cases of leptospirosis. So we want to help as much as we can. Of course, the drop-off location for these relief items, Nationwide's new location, 14 Ocean Boulevard, right here at the Digicel building downtown. So come, if you can bring a case of tissue, a case of water, however small it may be or however small you think it is, we will accept it. We're also accepting clothes. And I want to echo the sentiments of George. I heard George speaking earlier this morning about those who are dropping off clothes as part of your relief efforts. Please be mindful. If it's something that, you wouldn't take up and put on yourself, don't try to give it to somebody else. The clothes them where have tear on some part or mildew, don't give people dirty clothes. The shoes, if it rotten, you can't wear it, them can't wear it either. Because if it dry rotten, it'll go mash up on them too. So don't give people those things. as find things. I know sometimes we put away things because it can't fit us anymore, or our children outgrow some things, but they're still in good condition. Yeah, find those things. Don't use these relief efforts as an opportunity to clear out your house of the old junk. It's not the time for it. It is not the time. And I've seen several videos of persons who are organizing relief efforts having to throw away many things because things that people are donating are, not in good condition. If you wouldn't take it up and wear it if you could, then don't give it to someone else, all right? So just a quick heads up for those who may be donating clothes. Inspect the clothes properly to ensure that they're in good condition. Sometimes you left them in good condition and you put them down and they might mildew or, things might happen. So just inspect the clothes, inspect the shoes before you donate. All right? So once again, nationwide, we are accepting donations. 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digicel building, downtown. Our first trip will be this Friday, and we will be going to Westmoreland. So our first trip is this Friday. We're going to Westmoreland. So if you can, during this week, come and drop off your relief items. And of course, we will package them and give them out when we go out on Friday. All right? Great. Looking forward to your support. All right, it's a Monday morning. It's time for Immigration Mondays. All right, and inside Immigration Mondays, we are joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee and Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning, Nora. Good morning, Nadine. Good morning to our wonderful and loyal listeners and viewers. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Lee. Good morning, Nora. Good morning to our Nationwide family. And Nora, thank you and the Nationwide team for saying you're going to be going to Westmoreland.
Yes.
It's nice to know that we have not been forgotten. Please remember the more rural areas. There's still no light or water down there, Nora. Yeah. So, again, for your team to be careful as well when they're going down. But thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to... Did Opal say good morning already? I'm just trying to remember. Okay,
yes,
good.
I did.
Okay, good. All right. So we're going to jump right into it after a little bit of a late start. So we're going to start with the updates, immigration-related updates. Going to start with you, Nadine. Maybe we go to Opal after the break based on the time.
Okay, thank you, Nora. So, Nora, last week, the immigration minister had an express entry draw. For persons who are not familiar with the express entry system, it is an online system wherein persons who are interested in sponsoring themselves and their families would create a profile in this express entry system. Once your profile is submitted, you're entered into a pool with other applicants, and it is the immigration minister who decides how often he's going to have a draw from the pool of applicants, what category he'll be using for that particular draw, as well as what is the cutoff score. So last week, Nora, he had one of the lower, I'm going to say equivalent to what he did a month ago in terms of the cutoff score, which was 462. This draw was for persons in the health sector. So it was healthcare and social services occupations. He issued 3,500 invitations. So for anybody who is in the express entry pool, you have a score of 462 or above, and your job title is in the healthcare and social services occupations. Nora, just to give you an idea what some of the job titles are like, you have animal health technologists and veterinary technicians, chiropractors, dental hygienists, dentists, dietitians, licensed practical nurses, medical laboratory technologists, nurse practitioners, social workers, of course, are also included. So there are quite a few occupations on the list. I think probably about 28 occupation categories in total that are included in this particular category. So it is promising to see that he has been lowering the score, Nora. Thank you. We can talk more about it if we have time later on in the program.
All right, no problem. We are up on the break, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get the update from the U.S.
Decorate and redecorate your space with water-resistant, colorful, and fast-drying paints from Edgechem Paints. The time by Edgechem Paints, changing lives 1 gallon at a time, is
9:16.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need desperate help.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digicel Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Give us strength. Never let I fail.
Good morning. You're back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I am Nora Gay Banton. It's Immigration Mondays. We're joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee and Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir. Before the break, we got an update from Nadine about the express entry draw. If you missed that, you can go on back to the beginning, or just wait until the program ends, or we may mention it again soon, because I do have a question. But before I ask my question, I'm going to allow Opal to give the update out of the United States.
Thank you, Nora. So 2 quick updates. Last week, we touched a little bit about the expansion of the public charge. And I've gotten a lot of inquiries about it. People are wondering, wait a minute, if I'm obese, does that mean that I'm not going to get the immigrant visa granted, right, from the consulate, and diabetic and all that stuff? And so what the administration has basically said is that they're telling the U.S. embassies, the consulates, to look at a totality of the circumstance and look to see how likely it is that when the person enters the United States, they're going to be using public funds, or if, they've used public funds in the past. So what that means, even elderly, even older visa applicants who are nearing retirement age, Nora, they're going to face particular, scrutiny, because they're going to be looking at, okay, when they enter the United States, are they going to work? Yeah. Who is going to be supporting them? Are they going to come on Medicaid? And so what we could tell our listeners is, make sure you have funds in the bank. Maybe make sure you show that if the person was from Jamaica, for example, and they had like a retirement system set up where they're getting a monthly, pension, make sure you have all of those documents so you can provide and know that, okay, you're not going to, you have funds in place. And if you have any medical condition, make sure you have, even if you don't have the funds, you have proper medical insurance to cover this. And another thing real quick, what we're seeing, my colleagues have been saying that they're seeing a lot of people who, after you're in the United States and you've filed an adjustment, let's say you're married to a U.S. citizen, for example, or you have a child who's a U.S. citizen who's 21 years old or older who has filed for you, and you have overstayed your visa, we're seeing that once the application is being submitted, Now USCIS know the address. They tend to be coming in and making arrests. ICE is making arrests. I would tell people, still go ahead and submit your applications. You have to, because what's the other option? If you don't submit something, and then chances are you have ICE contact and you're taken into custody, then what are you going to tell an immigration judge? You're going to okay, I was scared. I mean, I have a spouse who's a U.S. citizen, but I was scared to file because now they're going to know my address and they're going to come and pick me up. No, that's not the answer. It's better to have something filed, because the truth is, even if they take you into custody, whether at the interview, at your fingerprint, or even at your home after you've submitted, you now have an application that's pending. You have a receipt. So if they do take you into custody, you can come to an attorney like myself or your own attorney if you're choosing, and then we could present the receipts. And you're more likely than not, you're going to get a bond. You're going to show the judge that you had relief and that ICE was just, they had no right to come and arrest you. And so you have relief more than anything else. So I say still go ahead. Please do a filing. And if you have an interview, this is not the time to go to any interview. No care how you think it's going to be squeaky clean. Do not go to an interview without an immigration attorney present. I don't care. Go with an attorney. It's better to have an attorney there.
Wow. All right. So that's the update, very important update there from the United States. Take note, especially if it concerns your case. I did say I have a question for you, Nadine, just before we go into the calls and questions from our YouTube chat. For the express entry, is there any idea as to what category of persons are chosen, or what goes into the decision to choose a certain category, or even the score, how low the score is? Is there any indication, or is it just like the lottery? You just don't know, what's going to be picked on that specific occasion?
Pretty much, Nora. Pretty much, it's up to the immigration minister. Yes, it is a lottery, because you're entered into a pool. You have no idea when you'll be selected. When you submit your profile, you're in the pool for a year. If you're not selected, it means you need to resubmit your profile. And it is the immigration minister who decides how often he's going to have a draw, what category, or sometimes it's going to be occupation-based specific, such as in this case. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he'll do French language proficiency. Last month it was for teachers. So it really, I'm going to say it has more to do probably like what the labor market needs.
Okay.
As well as, of course, if he decides, okay, we're going to there's a category called the Canadian Experience class. So if you're in the express entry system, you're classified, or you're qualified under different categories, whether it's the Canadian Experience class, the skilled worker category, federal skilled trades, or yes, your occupation is in demand. He can then decide what category he'll be selecting from the pool, as well as define it even more down to the actual job titles. You also need to do your English test, Nora. So for anybody who's considering entering the express entry pool, you need to do your English test. And of course, the higher the score, the better it is for you. If you studied outside of Canada, you will also need to have your education assessed by an approved organization. And normally what I recommend to clients is to have an idea as to what your score is like. Because if your score is very low, you're going to be spending money on English test and education assessment, and you may not stand a chance at being selected. The score for last week's draw was 462. And other than the French language draws that he's had, this is the lowest, equivalent to what he did last month as well. It was also 462 for the teachers. So I'm going to say your score needs to be a certain amount, roughly, before you enter the pool.
Very, very interesting, method of entry to a country. And for the English test, it's necessary for all applicants, no matter where you're coming from?
Yes, Nora, all applicants. And, I always say to my clients, don't take it for granted that because English is our first language, more or less, quote unquote, our first language, you still need to prepare for the English test. It's 4 modules, it's a time-based exam, and it is more of a comprehension-based exam than, you're just looking at something and reading it. So please, persons who are planning to sit the exam, make sure you do a Google search or go on YouTube and find some practice materials before you go and sit the exam.
All right. I always hear you talk about the express entry, and every time I hear you speak about it, I visualize someone sitting in an office with a bag, like grab bag, and they just dip their hand in, take out something, and like, okay, this month we're accepting healthcare workers. Like that's exactly how I envision it. But I guess it has been working for Canada, and so they continue to do it that way. I don't know. But
Nora, it hasn't been working for a lot of persons who expected to be selected from the pool.
Right.
Because if you remember, a few years ago, Canada was bringing in a lot of students.
Right.
Or a lot of students were coming to Canada.
Well, I mean, they did. It was in the news all over. Canada is looking for. So I guess that was the reason for the influx.
Right. And then you now have all of these students who eventually became workers because the idea was they wanted persons to come as students, get some Canadian education, then get some Canadian work experience in order to qualify for residency.
Right.
The students did that. And now it's like they've changed the goalpost. It has now become so much more challenging for persons who are in Canada to qualify for residency. So I was actually a little bit surprised at the news that came out last week as well that said that they're going to be, I guess, focusing more on persons who are in Canada as workers to help them qualify for residency. So I'm hoping and praying that, yes, they're going to continue to lower the score for express entry so that persons who are here, who have invested all this money, Nora, can eventually qualify for residency.
All right, we'll watch it and we'll see. We are going to go to the questions now. Just to remind you that the phone lines are open. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. The numbers to call 876-630-9371, and that goes up to 4 and 618-6730. We're almost up on the break, so I'm going to take one question from YouTube. This one for you, Opal. It says, if a 12-year-old is in the U.S. and a visa number becomes available, can an LPR adjust status for the minor child if the child has overstayed, even if the child has overstayed, since a visa number has become available?
No, that's one of the difference. When a legal permanent resident is filing for their spouse or their minor child, and the child is in, and that person is in the United States, the beneficiary, a visa number must be available, and the person must be in lawful status. No overstay, no unauthorized work, no inadmissibility. That's the difference. If the person was a United States citizen, even if the child had overstayed, then yes, the child could adjust. But no, legal permanent resident, a visa number must be available, and no inadmissibility, no overstay.
All right. We're almost to the break, so I'm going to allow you ladies to give your contact information for those who are waiting for that. And then when we come back, we'll continue taking calls and questions from YouTube. Opal and then Nadine.
Thanks, Nora. So Opal Lee, the phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599. In the United States, 954-358-2020. That's 954-358-2020. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at FlowJam Legal. Over to you, Nadine.
Thanks, Opal. For Nadine Mahabir, our contact number in Jamaica, it is 876-754-4391. That's 876-754-4391. In Canada, it is 1-416-249-5885. That's 1-416-249-5885. Our email address is info@cdn intl.com. Thanks, Miss Nora. Over to you.
All right, we're up on the break. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have more Immigration Mondays.
Spectrum Insurance Brokers provides quality insurance coverage and risk management services. The time by Spectrum Insurance Brokers Limited, setting the industry standards, is
9:30.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees. No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loan, think Chris and Charles.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Pan select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Good morning. You're back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I am Nora Gay Banton. It is Immigration Mondays. We're joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opa Lee and the Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir. And we are taking your calls, reminding you of the phone lines 876-630-9371, and that goes up to 4, and 618-6730. That's 618-6730. There are some questions also coming in on the YouTube chat, coming from that discussion with Nadine re-express entry. Katie Buello was asking what qualifies you to get to that passing score. You know, how do you get there? Or how do you know what's going to be the passing score? Do you know?
Okay, Nora. So, hi, Katie Buello. He's or she's a regular listener and YouTube watcher. Nora, there are a bunch of criterions. Okay. Mm-hmm. The first thing is, what category do you qualify under? Are we looking at the federal skilled worker category, the Canadian experience class, or the federal skilled trades category? Those are the three main categories in the express entry system. Once you're in the pool, and again, this person has been following us. So for persons who are new as well, we also have the provincial nominee programs under Canadian immigration rules. In Jamaica, we have parishes. In Canada, it's provinces. So each province has their own immigration rules. Now, to answer your question as to what criterions they're looking at, and is there a pass mark? Yes. What category do you qualify under? For the federal skilled worker category, do you have at least 1 year of high skilled work experience in a job or in an occupation that is on the national occupation listing. For the high skilled job, you have at least 1 year work experience. What is your level of education, your language proficiency, and then do you have at least 67 points? So Nora, it is I'm going to say a layering of information and criterions. And that is why normally I do an assessment with a client to see, okay, roughly what is your score going to be like on the express, in the express entry. There's a CRS calculator. And if a client's score, I'm going to say is like below 450 or 460, I'm going to say to them, you then need to look at what can you do to increase your score. Coming to Canada as a student is one way to increase your score. If you have work experience in Canada, again in a high-skilled job, that also gives you additional points. Do you have a sibling in Canada? And for siblings, you need to ensure that the parent that if you're related to them by both parents, that's fine. If you're related to them by a father, you need to ensure that the father's name is on both your birth certificate as well as the sibling's birth certificate in Canada. So, again, Nora, there's a whole bunch of criterions and information that you need to look at. Years ago, it was a lot easier to qualify for permanent residency, but since the implementation of the express entry system, it has been a lot more challenging.
All right. So if you need to go further with that, it's best you book a consultation so that your situation, where you are, can be properly assessed. All right. We have two callers on the line. We're going to go to Stacy first. Stacy, good morning.
Good morning. Can I speak to Opali? I just need to ask her one question, please.
Sure, you can go ahead.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, Opali. I would like to know if, say, for instance, there's a mother in the United States filing for an adult son in Jamaica. Is there any way that that mother also can be an affidavit of support for another person?
Oh, absolutely. A green card holder or a U.S. citizen can be as much a sponsor for as much people. Depends on if the money is good. So it depends on that person's income. So there's a calculation that we have to do, depending on how the size of the person's household and how many people they have sponsored and all that. But if the money is good, then yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for calling, Stacy. Patrick, good morning.
Call for the U.S. attorney.
Yes, you can go ahead. She's hearing.
A person is on a J1 visa. They have made an application for waiver, but Homeland Security has declined the waiver. Can her spouse, who is a citizen, put in I-130 in the meanwhile?
All right, so it's
she won't
J1?
be off the J1 visa until maybe next year. The J1 visa will expire.
All right, so here's the thing. I-130, if the person is going to stay in the United States, I-130 alone does not protect that person. So you can put it in and they could come and pick you up or pick up the person and put them in deportation. It's the adjustment that kind of have some protection because at least that's showing that the person is adjusting their status. But unfortunately, you can't adjust if you have that 2-year residency issue with the J1, because what that means is that they're saying you can't stay in the United States, you can't adjust your status, you have to go back to your home country for 2 years, and then you can come back. So while, yes, they could file the I-130, the I-130 alone is not going to do anything because the person would have to go outside, stay, whether it's Jamaica or anywhere else. They can go anywhere, just not in the United States, and have spent 2 years before they can adjust their status and get a work permit or anything. So I would suggest that person do a consultation. Maybe they need to redo their the waiver or seek advice on that.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
All right, Patrick, thank you so much for calling. We do have some other questions in the YouTube chat. This one for you, Opal. It says, my son is in the U.S. His wife filed for both him and his son, who is in Jamaica. My son got his PR card from August this year. How long will it take for his son? How long will his son have to wait?
Right. So it sounds to me that maybe the father is in the United States and was able to adjust,
right,
whereas a child who is in Jamaica, it takes a little bit longer because you have to do 2 steps. You have to get the I-130 approved, then it is sent over to the National Visa Center. Then they have to, it depends on how long they take to do the other steps, meaning submit the immigrant visa application, get it documentally qualified, such as sending your affidavit of support, all that stuff. The income has to pen out, be good. And then you have to sit and wait for them to then send a file over to the U.S. Embassy. So normally I would normally say it takes at least an additional year to do it in Jamaica, or I should say to do it by a consular processing because of all the additional steps.
All right, thank you so much.
But it also depends, Nora, on if they have done what they're supposed to do. Have they submitted the affidavit of supports and gotten documentally qualified? Because if not, the file is just going to sit there for years.
All right, so John, please ensure that the necessary documents have been submitted from your end so that everything can be going as it should be. This question here for you, Nadine, it says, if for teachers, if they get selected from the pool, do they still have to do the rigorous teacher qualification process that some provinces have, like Ontario? Okay, so the credentials for working as a teacher in each province is not, I'm going to say it's not necessarily linked to the express entry system. To qualify as a teacher or to get your certification as a teacher means that would allow you to work in the province, not necessarily to qualify for permanent residency. So it's 2 different processes, Nora. There's the process that you need to have your education assessed for the express entry system. It doesn't mean that you need to work as a teacher when you get to Ontario or whatever province you're moving to. So again, you don't necessarily have to have the education. You have to have the education assessment done for express entry, but you don't need to have the credentials for your particular occupation for express entry. Oh. I hope I've clarified that enough. But, okay, so for those who get selected from the express entry pool for under the occupational category, do you not have to have your qualification in, or work in that field? You need to have worked in that field. You need to have experience in that field. But you do not need to come to Canada and work in that field. Interesting. Yes. Yes. I mean, they're doing the occupation-based draws with the intention that, yes, you'll be coming to work in that field. And of course, I strongly recommend to persons that are coming to Canada and your job title is regulated, you plan to work in that particular occupation, to please start the process. And yes, I know, unfortunately, some of the provinces, it is very challenging, but start the process nevertheless. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I guess it checks because there is no requirement for you to prove that an employer is seeking you for the express. Right. Very interesting. Right. Okay. If you have a job offer though, so let's say, Nora, your employer did what is called the labor market application for you. Right. And you're getting a job or you're being offered a job as a teacher, then yes, you would need to meet the requirements for working in that regulated occupation in that particular province. But when there's an employer specifically seeking you, do you still go through the express entry pool, or is there a different process for that? So coming up on a work permit means you have temporary status. The express entry system is to help you to transition or to qualify for permanent residency. Because when you come up on a work permit, that's just for a restricted amount of time, maybe a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Okay. Learning a lot about the express entry. I guess I do need to start doing some TikTok videos or something. Yes, yes, please. It is a lot of information to go through. Yes, indeed. But we are up on the break. Didn't even realize the time was going so quickly. We are going to come back from the break with Olive. Olive, we're coming to you right after the break.
prescriptions. Get cosmetics and other pharmaceutical items at Mannings Hill Pharmacy, located at 34A Mannings Hill Road, Kingston. Telephone 924-6280. At Mannings Hill Pharmacy, they stock all the hard-to-get medication. The time by Mannings Hill Pharmacy is
9:45.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Me grow past my granny, I save her money under her mattress. But at an old time something. That's where I save my money in the bank. And become I want to buy a little house, but also saving a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Good morning. You're back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Nora Gay Banton. It's Immigration Mondays, and we're joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee and Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir. We are taking your calls. The numbers to call 876-630-9371. That goes up to 4 and 618-6730. We have Olive on the line. Good morning, Olive.
Hi, good morning. How are you,
Doing
Nora?
good. How are you?
Good. I am well. I have a quick question for Miss Mahabir. Well, hopefully it's very straightforward. I'll ask anyway.
Okay.
So there was a student who 10 years ago, a Jamaican student studying in the U.S., a group of them, he was on F1 visa at the time, and, a group of them were going over to Canada. He was the only Jamaican on an F1 visa, so he couldn't go. So they were driving because it's one of those universities near the border of Canada. This was over 10 years ago. He's now a bona fide green card holder who is married, lives in the U.S., and wants to go to a funeral in Canada. And he has a concern as to whether it would be a problem now.
Hi, good morning. So was he denied entry when he tried to enter Canada 10 years ago?
They all turned back in the car, so because he didn't have a F1, because he was a F1 visa student. I don't think he understood at the time that, he wouldn't be able to go because they were driving. So the group of them had to go back. They weren't allowed in, right? But this was he graduated in 2010, I believe, so 15 years ago. But he's been living in the U.S. as a green card holder, needs to go to a funeral next week, I think he said, and has a little concern about that. Well, first thing, does a green card holder need a visa to go to Canada?
No, they don't need a visa.
Okay.
Is he driving across or is he flying in?
He's flying.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be up to the immigration officer. I guess when he lands, he will need to, of course, answer the question truthfully.
Of course.
Explaining that, yes, he was a student. He didn't know he needed a visa at the time.
Because they were driving. I think the main thing is because they were driving. Everybody else were Americans, and group of boys going over to Canada, and he couldn't get across. They had to turn back. That's the story I got anyway.
Okay, so he, again, he'll just have to explain to the officer, and even if they're saying for whatever reasons he's inadmissible, he can ask for what is called a temporary resident permit, a TRP, just to allow him to enter Canada in order to attend the funeral.
Okay. All right. So it might or might not be an issue. That's what you're saying, but be prepared just in case.
Right. Just be prepared. I mean, he didn't commit a crime or anything.
No, he didn't even. Yeah, they just said, nope, sorry, F1 doesn't take you across. So like I said, that was 15 years ago, actually.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking he should be okay, but I'm sorry, I've never had an issue like that where there was someone in the U.S. But as a green card holder, he does not need a visa. He doesn't really need an ETN, electronic travel authorization, but he can look that up, and I'll also look up the information for you. If you'd like to send me an email, I can try to double check it for him by tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Okay. You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Thank you too.
All right, Olive. Thank you so much for calling. Here's another question from YouTube. This one for you, Opal. One of those questions that we get very, very often. How long after receiving my green card can I travel back to Jamaica?
Never. I'm joking.
So don't go.
You have your no. Okay. Now you're a permanent resident. You have your green card. Yes, you're free. You're free to travel. However, and you can travel the next day of getting your green card. So I'll answer that plain and simple. However, now that you have traveled, be very mindful of the time that you have spent outside the United States. Again, as a permanent resident, you're not supposed to have 6 months at any given time outside the United States, as that will affect your chances of becoming a U.S. citizen. You will be in danger of them revoking the green card if you let a period of 1 year catch you outside the United States. But the thing is that if it is that you're traveling frequently and you're living in Jamaica, for example, spending 5 months, 6 months, and then coming back to the United States for 2 days, 1 week, thinking you're slick because at least you're breaking it up, breaking up the 6 months, and then you go back and spend another 5 months and come back for 1 week, they may threaten to take away your green card. So you might need to do a consultation so we can talk and strategize.
Yeah, remember, when you accept that green card, you belong over there kind of ish, it's kind of like that. And you're supposed to be visiting home.
That's why it's called a legal permanent resident.
That's your new home. So you visit Jamaica and live in the United States, not the other way around, contrary to popular belief. All right, some more questions just before we have to wrap. I see another question on YouTube. This person asking, you had mentioned that the last draw was for health, those in the health system. Nadine, this person asking if pharmacy workers, those in the pharmaceutical industry, if those persons fall under that category as well.
I'm going to have to double check. I don't remember, Nora, so I'll double check and I'll share the information on my Facebook page. Nadine Mahabir is the name for my Facebook page. And Nora, for the previous caller, so just to confirm, I looked up the information real quickly. If the student or previous student is trying to enter Canada, he has any difficulties when he lands, as I mentioned, he can request a TRP, which is a temporary resident permit. And normally, because as I said, he didn't have any criminal issues. So worst case scenario is you're just asking for a TRP, the temporary resident permit, to enter Canada for the purpose of the funeral, and you have no intentions of remaining in Canada.
All right. And just two quick questions for Opal before we go. First one says, my wife started filing for my minor daughter last November. How long is the wait?
Right. If the wife is a U.S. citizen, then it takes about a year, which is about now, for the immigrant petition to be approved, but then it's going to be sent over to the U.S. Embassy if the person is outside. So I would say another year or so before that they actually get an interview at the embassy.
All right, and the final one for this morning. If you lost your green card and you applied to get it back, when you got it back, they left off your married name. Is that a problem?
All right, so not really. You can still travel and you're still a permanent resident. But if you would prefer, you can send in the I-90. Make sure the mistake was not on your part where you had left off your marriage name when you filed the I-90 to renew it. And so if it's not your problem or it wasn't your mistake, you can go ahead, but the things that you have to send back the green card. And so some people don't want to send it back because maybe they have a trip, especially Christmas coming up. A lot of people may be going to Christmas in, Jamaica. And so they don't want to lose, because if you send it back, it might take a year or even 2 years to get back the green card. So it's not a problem, really. It's still your name. You have your marriage license. You have everything to show that you are indeed that same person.
All right, that's where we're going to leave it. Going to allow you ladies to give your contact information once more, starting with you, Opal, and then Nadine.
Thank you, Nora. So Opal Lee, the phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599. In the United States, it is 954-358-2020. That's 954-358-2020. If you wish to schedule an appointment, you may do so on our website, www.flowjamlegal.com. That's FLOJAMLEGAL.com. Or you may find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at FlowJamLegal. Have a great and productive week, everyone. Over to you, Nadine.
Thanks, Opal. For Nadine Mahabir, our contact number in Jamaica, it is 876-754-4391. That's 876-754-4391. In Canada, it is 1-416-249-5885. That's 1-416-249-5885. Our email address is info@cdnintl.com. Thank you, Nora. Have a great week, everyone. And again, please remember our family and friends in the western part of the island.
Absolutely.
Take care. Thanks, Nora.
Thank you, Nadine and Opal. Do enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. See you next week, Monday. That's all the time we have for the Consumer Hour, Immigration Mondays this morning. We're going to make way now for Cliff Hughes Online.
That was the Consumer Hour with Nora Gay Banton.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. I have no house,